Welcome back. Now, a federal high court sitting in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State, has ordered the federal government to pay the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, the sum of 500 million naira as damages following his illegal abduction and human rights abuse from Kenya. The court also ordered the federal government to return him to Kenya from where he was extradited to Nigeria on the 19th of June 2021. Now, the court presided by Justice Evelyn Nnamdi insisted that the extradition of Kanu from Kenya without recourse to the legal process was a flagrant abuse of his fundamental human rights. She held that the respondent failed to disprove the claims of the applicant that he was arrested, blindfolded, tortured, and chained to the ground for 8 days in Kenya before his extradition to Nigeria. The court, in granting the relief sought by Kanu, ordered the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to stop further prosecution of the IPOB leader consequent upon his extraordinary rendition, and that the federal government should restore Nnamdi Kanu to his status quo before the 19th of June 2021. But this is not the first time the IPOB leader will be getting judgment now against the federal government in court, as this judgment is coming just few days after the Court of Appeal ordered the federal government to release him. The government is, however, yet to release him and has asked the appeal court for permission for stay of execution, so to speak. Joining me now to discuss this further is Mondo Bani, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. This latest judgment, of course, coming in favor of Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu. What do you make of it?
With regards to the judgment of yesterday at Federal High Court, the judgment was very explicit as to what the respondents ought to do. One is that the extraordinary rendition that was carried out in 2021, which was the process of bringing Nnamdi Kanu back from Kenya, was declared wrongful, was declared illegal, that it contravenes both local and international laws, and that the court ordered that the federal government should return Nnamdi to the status quo. That is where he was before the abduction that took place in Kenya. And the court also awarded the sum of 500 million naira in damages against the federal government. This is clearly in compliance and in agreement with the Court of Appeal decision that declared the manner with which Kanu was brought back as illegal. Because that is a Court of Appeal, which is a higher court. And in our hierarchy of courts, the Court of Appeal is higher than that of the Federal High Court. And by order of judicial precedent, the court decided to comply with the existing judgment of the Court of Appeal by ensuring that it drives home the fact that the manner with which Nnamdi Kanu was brought back was clearly wrongful, was illegal, and then clearly against the law of the land. That is actually what I understand that case to mean.
Now, when the judge says return him to status quo, take him back to Kenya, how do you reconcile that with the denial by the Kenyan government that he was even arrested in Kenya?
Remember that this particular case is not only being initiated, in Nigerian jurisdiction. I think the legal team has also initiated this particular process in some other jurisdictions, some other international jurisdictions, and that pronouncement will be expected to be made very soon with regards to what happened in Kenya. But in our own local law, you hear what the Court of Appeal said, that the manner with which Kanu was brought back was illegal. It violates his right. Now, abducting a human being from another country to another country is not recognized under any national or international treaty. What happens is that if somebody has committed a crime and is in another country, and you want to bring him back to a country where he can face his trial, you go through extradition process. That extradition process is a judicial process in which that party will be given fair hearing. But you don't just go into a country and take a human being that the law of the land has given several rights, constitutional right, legal right, and take him to another country, not in accordance with the procedure and process that the law allows. So what happened is that that process has been declared illegal. the manner in which Kanu was brought from Kenya to Nigeria has been declared illegal by the Court of Appeal, and that particular Court of Appeal case and decision was re-emphasized and reinforced yesterday in the Federal High Court of Maya. And so in Nigerian jurisdiction, despite the denial of Kenya, despite the denial of federal government that Nnamdi was properly brought into the country, the Court of the Land has have declared that the process that was utilized was not known to law, and he has violated the rights of Nnamdi Kanu. And that was the reason why the damages of 500 million was awarded. And for the criminal case in the Court of Appeal, that was why the court says that the lower court has no jurisdiction to try Nnamdi. And the court went further to say that Nnamdi cannot be tried by any other court, whether the Federal High Court that was trying him or any other court. That judgment is very, very profound. You need to see the word the Court of Appeal said.
So are you saying that the government cannot take this case to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, no, they can go to Supreme Court in order to probably ventilate their grievance or their grounds of appeal against what the Court of Appeal has said. But what the Court of Appeal said is that it was wrong for the lower court to have assumed jurisdiction because of the manner in which it was brought. Not only the court of the Federal High Court, but any other court. Any other court. So if the Supreme Court now reverses what the Court of Appeal has said, fine. But for now, the state of the position of the law is that Nnamdi Kanu shouldn't have been tried by the Federal High Court or any other court in the land.
In the light of the Court of Appeal judgment, can the federal government in this case, that's the case at the Federal High Court room here now, can the federal government appeal?
Appeal?
Yes, I'm asking, can the federal government appeal the ruling of the Federal High Court in the light of the ruling of the Court of Appeal?
No, they have a right to appeal. They can go to Court of Appeal. Yes, they have a right. It's a constitutional right.
The reason I'm asking you, the reason I asked you that question is because are both cases different? I mean, they seem to be the same, the same case, if you like.
No, what happened at the Court of Appeal was a criminal trial. Remember, criminal case that arose from the Federal High Court in FCT that had 15-count charge. 8 of them was struck down, and the court now ruled that he can be tried for the 7th. Now, they went on appeal against that particular ruling that said that 7 he can be tried on that is competent. Now, the Court of Appeal now said, no, you can't even try him because the process through which you brought him back was illegal. So that is a criminal process. What took place in Umaya is a civil case in which Nnamdi, is enforcing his fundamental right, human right, and then asking for damages, which the court has now agreed that his rights were violated by the manner in which he was brought back, and the court awarded 500 million naira damages against the federal government. So the federal government has the right to appeal against that judgment to the Court of Appeal, because this is a purely civil one that have taken place at the Federal High Court. So it's the constitutional right, as I said earlier, a right of appeal is a constitutional right. So they have the right to go further to Court of Appeal, and then the Court of Appeal will now decide based upon what the Federal High Court in Umaya has said.
All right, just wait and see how this ends. Nnamdi Obani, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for having me, Deji.
Thank you so very much. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.